Hello, this is my ISO code on Haven. We're going to start off with defense on A, and we're going to start off with long. I don't play long a huge amount. I usually play it when I want my orbs, which honestly does happen quite a few times in a game. But I don't really play long the whole time. Like sometimes I just prefer to get kills with my orbs. But if I like need the orb and maybe it's a bit more like passive on A lobby, and for whatever reason I'm still playing A, then and this might be something I'm doing where I'm walling and then I might tap and wait for someone to try and peek the wall, or I'll just tap and wait for someone to peek A main. Don't have to use the wall instead. Don't have to use the wall for no reason. Usually I'm waiting for like Cypher, lurks and things like that. Obviously if that's not applicable to you in the context, then just take the orb or just fake the orb and then find somewhere else that's going to fight you or something. Also wait for like, potential A lobby pushes. When it comes to actually playing on A, if say if like you're retreating off A, you're pretty much always going to play here because you have really good fragile lines. So you can fragile them really easily. You can also, if you haven't used your wall yet, you can use your wall here too, to kind of like push it through them. So then they're like essentially, I don't know how to like demonstrate this. Right, so this is what it looks like to them. So they can't shoot through it, and then it's going to go through them, right? And if you're waiting on the other side, like you're going to have a bit of more of an advantage. You'll see their gun come through first, most likely. You'll have actually quite a big advantage on them, if they have to like go through the wall. If that makes sense. Let's go on to short. Generally, you want to have a teammate with you on short. It's just better that way if you both contest the same sort of lane on A. So either you're both long or both short. It doesn't really matter which one. I prefer short a lot more because it's a bit easier to attack a lobby from in general and you get a deeper line, etc. It's much better that way. And yeah, you'll be playing with someone that can like reveal a lobby or flash or both. So you want to be doing stuff like that. Doing stuff like a contesting lobby, and you can also use like pings to get good fragiles. Make sure like you're accurate with the fragile every time, and that's very similar to other stuff like omen paranoias and things like that as well, where you want to ping to make sure you're getting it completely accurate every time. Obviously once you get a proper feel for it, you don't have to. It also helps that this indicator is pretty like the ISO thing itself isn't too small, so you can get really consistent with it. And that's kind of it for A. This wall kind of sucks on A. I would never really use it. And generally what would happen at this point, like if I don't fight anyone on A, I'm either going to be flanking or I'm going to be rotating basically instantly. I don't really need to wait for... I don't want to be like the last one on site basically as a duelist. I want to be trying to find the fights across the map. So I'm going to be flanking or I'm going to be rotating. We're going to go over to B. And on B, there is one play that I make, which is going to be, I'm going to aim at the left side of the window and use my wall, and then I'll fragile garden, and then I'll fight it, right? That's kind of the play. Generally, you want someone to help you, like, hold window up here, because you can't fully do it, or you can maybe ask for a smoke, and then this will just help you not get sprayed in response, right? If someone's looking through the smoke, so looking at the minimap and spray you through the smoke when you're fighting garden. This can just help you not get sprayed in that case, but generally you do want someone to help hold with you. And when you like, if this play doesn't work, like there's too many people that have run out like window or whatever, right? And you're just like bailing into the play. Then you can run back site, and you actually have really good options from back site with the fragiles and fighting. You can get pretty easy like a couple kills and backside, and eventually you probably will die, but honestly you're pretty slippery with your double tap. It gives you a lot more effective HP, and essentially it's like dismiss into varying one. You can kind of think of it like that, where even though it's slower to actually get the shield than it would be in Reyna, like Reyna can insta heal, or well, not really insta heal, but she can insta dismiss, or she can like instantly proc the heal, and she gets like some healing back instantly. ISO doesn't really have that, right? He has to hit the orb, which is a lot slower. And on top of that as well, it makes a next fight he takes, if he's taking it quite fast, like next to the, or like quite fast after hitting the orb, it can be really bad for his aim, right? Where he's like in the skybox basically, like way above the head, and then he has to come back down for head height to shoot them again. So it can be quite bad and detrimental in those sort of situations, but you can still snowball kills with it. Obviously the shield might help like in the next fight, and he might give you enough an advantage to actually still win despite your crosshair placement being askew from the orb. And he's basically getting like effective HP. You can basically think about the shield as you heal for equal amount equal to the amount that you took from on the shield, right? So if someone hits you for 160, you essentially heal for 160, that kind of stuff, right? And he's like the only agent that can like not die to one-hit kills, like the 160. So he's pretty strong when he can get like snowballing in around. But the problem is like he's not really that good at like initially like he's a bit slow basically with it, right? He wants the fights to be taken slowly, which doesn't really happen at high elos for sure. A lot of people are going to trade a lot faster, a lot more quickly, a lot more efficiently. One of the biggest things as well with ISO's kit is that in comparison to Reyna specifically, in that a lot of his power budget went to his other abilities. Like his ult is good and his fragile is good. His wall's kind of meh, and his double tap as a result is also kind of meh. Like his power budget is kind of at his ult and kind of at his fragile, in my opinion. And then Reyna's power budget is more in the dismiss and devour, and actually more in the dismiss and the Leer, and less so in the devour, and less so in the, especially in the ult. The ult is absolutely horrendous. So ISO definitely has the edge in terms of like kit wise for himself with this ult is really good. Next we'll talk about, sorry, I went a bit of a ramble there, but we'll go on to Garage next. And I've got another player from Garage that I do very similar to the other one. Basically, we just want to make sure that we line up with this wall here with our indicator like this, and then we can also fragile fight with a fragile garden, and we can fight garden, right? And this wall will just stop us from dying from window. It's pretty easy, pretty good. Just don't like do this every round. Like a lot of these peaks that you see, like the mid one, the garage one, these ones are really risky to do. You need to make sure you have the right reads going into them, otherwise you can be in like a bad way, unless you're like just better mechanically or whatever. Then it is. But even then, you're putting yourself in dumb positions. So I'll be careful doing those plays very often, and make sure you have a good round to do them. Next we go on to C, and C is pretty easy. It's just a big corridor, so fragile is really strong here. You can also wall this as well, and once again, same thing with A long, where walls going through them, you'll see their gun first. They can't shoot back at you. They can't like spray you. So sometimes you'll have an advantage on shooting people that come through the wall. Yeah, that's generally it for ISO there, to be honest. I'm going to talk about his ult real quick. So his ult on defense, I usually use it to try and stop ults. So if I know that a killjoy ult is going to be on the way, I'm going to try and ult sewers like this, right? If I know they have a breach as well, same sort of thing. I'm just generally trying to counter with ults. If I know they have a raise, then I might sit here with my ult like this. I'm waiting for the raise to ult, so then I can ult out of it, right? Something for my teammates, right? His ult is really strong. It counters the most ults in the game. It straight up counters ults like chamber ult, jet ult, raise ult. It can like counter the after, like you can like preemptively counter. So if you catch them before they actually use the ult, in basically from anyone, breach, fade, killjoy, then you're going to be able to like potentially win the round by yourself because you've just countered the main ult they needed to take the round, right? And they've also played with the fact they may even play around the fact that they've got that ult and then not have map control because they're all going to like flood out onto site with the breach ult, right? Or something like that, right? So things like that for ISO are really strong, and you should make sure you use that advantage that he has whenever he has his ult up. Bear in mind as well that his ult is a 7-cost ult at the start of the game or start of the half, and then it will be a 6-cost ult every single time after that because you're either going to get a kill in your ult or you're going to die in your ult. So make sure you realize like you can get your ult fairly often once you've got the initial ult, basically. You're very similar to Phoenix in that way where you can really benefit off the orbs, and I do think your ult is one of the best parts of your kit, so you want to make sure you're abusing that as much as possible. Also when it comes to retaking, I will talk about a bit retaking, but there is also some stuff with like just before they plant or like when they actually execute, things like that. You can ult like the raise ult coming in because you cancel raise ult, or you can like ult the planter potentially as well, and you can ult the breach right before you breach ults, that kind of stuff. Just before the actual execute, and then when it actually comes to actual post plant, this ult can be really strong because if you're ever in like an XV1, you can just ult the one person into the realm, and if it's a 1v1, you can make it a fair 1v1 in some capacity, right? If against a killjoy or something that has like setups or lineups or something, or if it's like a 2v1, your teammate can just go kill them basically after, even if you win or lose, right? If you win or lose, you win, or your teammate will get the kill after they reappear, right? So on retakes, your ult is really strong. If you don't have that, then fragiles in popular spots are really strong, or contextually are really good. And the wall can be quite good if you want to defend the bomb away from, and then try and get half on with the wall up. Especially good on like B and C, the wall is to like try and stop these angles from actually contesting you for a bit. Is quite good. And honestly, like, the premise of like the fragile and the ult is very similar on every retake, where you just want to use your ult when it makes sense on like an isolated target or getting rid of someone important, or the fragile on like important spots or wherever you've got recon, basically. And the wall itself is very similar, where you can use it to like try and get half on like these choke points, or you can use it to just try and defend a teammate getting like half, and then you can like push up with the wall and fight instead, and try and fight them in these angles. Pretty strong, pretty good for retakes. But let's go over onto attack. Okay, so on attack, we'll start off on A, and there's a couple of things that I'll do on A, but generally I'm going to start on, usually I'm going to go long, but I'll start on short for now. And there's two scenarios basically on short that I'm going to talk about. And the first one is that if I think they're going to kill ult, then, or breach ult or something like that from this corner, then I'm going to be in short, and I'm going to be waiting to do this. Just because it hits them faster. You can do it literally from anywhere over here, to be fair. So I'm just want to make sure that I'm hitting them first is the main thing when I'm short. That's basically how this will go. And also, it's more guaranteed that I'll get a tag like this, I think. Like, it's covering so much area that I'm more likely going to get like a tag on at least someone. But hopefully it'll be the killjoy or a breach or something. That's better to ult. The other time I'll go short is if I have short range weaponry, judge, vector, stinger, that kind of stuff. And I usually like path into short with a drone or something, and then I'm going to be either obviously fighting contextually if there's people in this corner, or I'm going to be like fragiling graffiti and fighting graffiti when I come out, that kind of stuff, right? It's kind of how it's going to go. Otherwise, I'm going to go long, and on long, what I'm going to do is, I just hurt myself on my mouse pad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a wall like this against this wall here. You want to wait for the wall to kind of be almost at this wall before you peek. And then you can make sure you pre-aim. It's kind of hard, honestly, because I'm so used to pre-aiming that other angle. But basically, you want to pre-aim the bricks angle like this. And yeah, perfect, right? And then when the wall goes down, it's very unlikely that someone like with like an operator is going to hold this wall, right? Because when the wall goes down, they're going to be met with like 3 different angles that are new to them. And there's no way they're going to be able to hit all 3 with an operator, especially. Even with a vandal, it's unfeasible. So honestly, it's pretty unlikely that they'll stay there. So you can basically get some long pressure for free, and take some long for free. Or not really for free, with the wall. Then we'll talk about the other wall, which is pretty reliant on having like recon. It's really, really important to have recon with the wall. The wall relies on it quite a bit. So having like recon clear these 2 corners, for instance, in this hypothetical, I will place a wall like this, and then the only angle I have to worry about is this one. As my teammates, I should call my teammates to cover the right side of the wall. As that is also a possibility, and obviously as this one gets revealed, so I'm watching this and then I can watch this one, and they'll only have this to watch. So if I go back all over here, my teammates will be like watching this. That's kind of how that will look. Hopefully this will be smoked off for you as well, or more for your teammates, and then yeah, that's kind of how you'd use the wall to take A from long. That's how I personally do it. You can also do the same thing from short if you go short on like the one the stinger is, right? You can do this for CT and then just try and isolate fights on site. But I mean, this isn't really that strong unless you like stay super close to the wall, and then because when you like, it kind of reveals way too many angles. Like when you change angle, like if I go graffiti here, like it didn't do anything, kind of thing. So just need to be careful with like how you like move relative to the wall. Can be quite important. And next I'll talk about B. We'll go over on to B. I will talk about the ult last, I think. So on B, you have pretty good lines for everything. So the wall has a good line here where you can fight A link, and obviously vice versa works too. So you just do this, and then you can fight C link instead, and you're barely gonna get shot here. Actually, you probably do it like this. So you're not gonna get shot from A link. I personally don't like it as much A link. I like to put it C link and then fight A link. Is personally how I like to do it. And then obviously as the wall goes through, I'll stop peeking and care about this angle a bit more. And then there's also fragile lines here, so you do fragile lines into C link, into A link. There's also them on the side of sight, and there's also back sight as well, which the back sight one is pretty decent because this angle's pretty good as we know for on defense. When it comes to like the retake as well, generally I'm going to be playing inside sight. I prefer to play inside sight as ISO, but honestly it's not too bad as well if you want to play outside sight, and you could have combined your fragile with mollies, like post plant stuff, like shock darts as well, and that sort of stuff. That is also a possibility if you still have them up. Don't be afraid to like play for lineups with your teammates to make their lineups more lethal to the enemy. and that is also a good possibility to play like that too. Bit of cringe as well, but I like it. Good, it's a good type of cringe to win the game. Next we'll talk about Garage. So on Garage, I don't do a huge amount here. There is the wall that you can do here to like sort of sneak in and try and take a different angle that they would be expecting. Or you can fragile it and try and fight them like that. But generally, people aren't going to fight Garage like this. And I don't really like Garage that much because my alternatives are just better. So my alternative is going C long, and I think this is just way better. So you can ult quite far as well. So you can ult basically everything on C link here, even though I don't actually ult from here usually. The wall usually I like to place like about here-ish, like level with these stairs, and it goes kind of like towards the end of this. Once again, same thing with the wall that I had on long. We want to make sure we ask our recon players to sort of like clear as much as they can, especially close. And then when we have new angles revealed to us, we don't have to worry about them. We can just worry about logs and like this close angle here, maybe Garage as well. And we get a lot of the angles eliminated, so then the wall becomes a lot stronger. And that's generally like a big premise with the wall, that we want to make sure we eliminate as many other angles that it reveals itself to as possible, so we can focus on the main angles we want to focus on, without getting shot from the angle we've actually walled off like this, right? Perfect, right? Next we will look at the Fragile. And the Fragile main line is this one, very similar to Paranoia. But there is like lines, obviously. You can use the context, like you can do the one over here like this, or you can do like one through over this. You can also combine this, once again, as I said, with util, raise nade, Sova ult, and that sort of stuff, to sort of like help their ults and the ults and the nades and things do a lot more damage and be a lot more lethal. When it comes to post plant on C, it's generally, once again, as I said, you can play for post plant with Fragiles if you want to, if you haven't used them already, or you're going to be playing site, because you're a duelist, you want to be taking a lot of fights generally. You have an ability that helps you take fights once you've taken one fight. You can snowball your fights with more effective HP. So you want to make sure like you are in the middle of a fight basically in retakes. Same with A as well. Even though I didn't go over A retake, that is kind of how you'll play. You'll play very similarly to the rest. And that's kind of it for the guide. I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.